Hi everybody, welcome to Bubble and Squeak. My name is Debbie and today we're going to make hemp seed oil soap. Hemp seed oil is really good for any skin conditions you may have. It's very soothing. We're also going to be adding in some raw hemp seed protein. It helps as a scrub, and again it adds in all the beneficial oils for the hemp. So I use a pure food grade oil. It's going to be very difficult to see here, that I purchased actually from a woman locally. And this is the raw hemp seed protein, again purchased from a girl locally here. For anybody in Ontario that is looking to purchase hemp products, these are very pure, so I will provide a link in the description underneath this video where you can purchase these if you're local in the Ontario area. We're going to be using my 6-cavity silicone soap mold again. I just find this easy if I'm making a couple of bars, which is what we're going to be doing today. We're not going to be adding any coloring to the soap because the hemp oil is a natural green color, so we're going to use that as the colorant. I have these little soap stamps. We're going to put these in the bottom of the soap molds, and this will just give a nice little stamp effect on the top of the soap since there's no real other swirling colors or anything going on in the soap. I have my stir stick, my pipette. The scent we're going to be using today is called Fresh Ginger Lime from Candora Soap. Again, I will put the link, so if you want to check out this different fragrance oils they have. I absolutely love them. I don't buy mine from anywhere else. We're going to be using Shea Butter soap base today. This is the one I bought from Michael's. Again, I will put a link at the bottom with the name of the soap brand. I like my Candora soaps. They use the Crafter's Choice. This is a different soap base, but it is just as good. I do enjoy this one too. It just so happens I had some leftovers from when I purchased this at Michael's, but I find the Candora soap bases a lot cheaper because you're buying a bigger bulk amount, so they work out cheaper in the long run. I have my temperature gun as per usual and my handy dandy gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to melt my soap base and we'll get started. Okay, I'm back. I've melted my soap base. I'm going to give it a stir just to make sure that there's no lumps that haven't melted. For people who are tuning into this as your first video, when I melt the soap base, I cube it very small with a knife, and then when I melt it I do 20-second burst to start with at half power in the microwave, and then after that it's at 50% power, 10-second bursts until it melts. It takes a bit longer to melt the soap, but then I'm not ever worried about boiling my soap. Boiling the soap can make it sweat, so any ingredient you add into it will end up bleeding out of your soaps, including colorants if you're putting them in, and it's just not as nice a soap. Sometimes it can cause it not to bubble nicely when you're using it. So we really don't want the soap base to be overheated. So I'm just going to check the temperature of the soap base before I put anything in it with my gun. Okay, this is 138.4, which is a great temperature for adding in our scent. So I'm going to pull up 2 ml of the scenting. And I'm going to squeeze that into my soap. And I'm going to give it another good stir to get the scent all moved into the different parts of the soap. Got a little bit of a skim forming. As soon as you add in coloring or scenting to the soap, it cools it down that much quicker. So you're gonna have to work a little faster after we put things in. So this is also a good temperature to add my soap, my hemp oil to the soap. So I have it here in a little container, and you can see it's kind of an olivey green color. And I'm just using what I think I need to put in there. You can put as much as you want. I like to just kind of slowly pour it in, give it a stir, see where I'm at with how much is in there. We don't want to oversaturate the soap, but it's nice to have a good amount of the hemp oil in here because it's so beneficial to the skin. I was reading up on the hemp oil, and it's really good for people that have extremely dry skin or eczema, psoriasis, that kind of thing. It helps to soothe and promotes healing of the skin. It's also, hemp oil is very good for the heart and circulation. I've never taken it internally. I tend to use it more in my soaps, but I can tell you that we give hemp flakes to our horse, and her skin and her coat is gleaming from using it. And also it's good for regulating blood sugars. So she has Cushing's disease, so it actually helps with that along with her medication. So it's a really good thing to have. These bars today, actually, I'm probably going to take to the barn to put in the toilet in the barn for people to wash their hands with. We're always washing our hands there over and over because we're touching the horses so much. So we tend to wash our hands a lot at the barn. Okay, so now I'm going to add in the hearts. And this is like a granule, so I'm just going to, again, put a little bit in, stir it into it. This is going to add a nice sort of exfoliating feel to the soap. It's going to add in some more beneficial oils that come out of the flakes. And it just makes the soap look really pretty too, but there's a lot of benefits to it as well. So I have a good amount in there. I'll just add more in. Add it all in. Why not? I've never had too much. Make sure it's stirred in really well. So another reason to have your soap base nice and low in temperature is so that when you add things like these flakes into it, they don't just sink or float. They kind of go throughout the soap. They suspend better in the soap. So there we go. All stirred in. This is what it looks like. Hopefully you can see it there. So now we're going to take our mold. And I have these little stamps as I was talking about. And they're just going to put an impression in to the soap. So I'm going to lay them centered in the bottom of the soap mold with the design facing upwards towards us. Get it at least semi-centered in here. And I've melted 9 ounces so that I could do 2 bars. So that's what they're going to look like in the molds. And we've just pressed them down to make sure that they're nice and flat on the bottom. And because they're both silicone, they like to stick to one another, so it's going to stay nice and steady in the bottom of the mold. Okay, so I'm just going to give my soap one more stir. Got the skim going on, and it doesn't matter about the skim going into this because we're not doing anything fancy with the soap. And we're just going to pour it in, and we're just going to fill it right to the top. Both sides here. Oh, and look at that. Because I added oils and things into it, I've got extra. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour that into another cavity. And that can be a sample soap. Maybe that's one I'll put in the barn right away for people to use up. There. going to spray it with rubbing alcohol to get rid of any of the bubbles. This is the 91% alcohol. And we don't worry about it being on the soap because it actually will dissipate off the soap pretty quickly. Just going to give this one here more of a squirt. So it's going to evaporate off of the soap, so it's not going to wreck any of the scenting that we've put in it. So now we're just going to let these bars set, and then we'll come back to unmold them afterwards. See you soon. Okay, so our soap is now set and ready to unmold. This is what it looks like in the molds. So we're going to go ahead and unmold it now. Now remember, 2 of these, not the small one, but the other 2 full cavities have the rubber stamps in them. So when we pull these out, those rubber stamps are going to be stuck in the top, and I'll show you how to get those out in a moment here. Let's go ahead and get all 3 of these unmolded. So this is our half bar, so this one I'm going to take to our horse barn so that people can use it in the bathroom there for their hands. Okay, so as you can see, our little stamps are in the soap still, so we have to get them out. Now, I've seen people do this removal using a dental tool. I don't have one. I should invest in one. But what I found worked is one of the corn pokers that you put in your corn for corn on the cob. So basically you want something that's sharp but is not going to damage your silicone mat. These ones don't. I find that they just sort of go back. So this one's just popped out, and this is what we have in the mold. And so this is left the impression in the top of the soap. It really is pretty. It frames it, and it just makes what would be relatively plain bar like this one kind of a little more fancy. So I like to use these when I'm doing more of a plain soap. I will leave a link to where you can purchase these off of Amazon in the description box. I'm just going to pull this one out. So this was the mold that we used for this one, and this is what the design looks like in the soap bar. So there you have it, some very pretty bars of hemp soap that are really good for your skin, and I will leave all the links to where to get this oil and the hearts in the description below in Ontario. If you are somewhere else, I suggest that you do some investigating on where you can get your hemp oils from in your area. I'm sure there's local suppliers all over the place now for hemp oil. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave your question in the comments below the video, and I will do my best to answer them. So there we have it, hemp soap, and it smells wonderful. I hope you all have a good day, and we'll see you for our next soap making video.